How's it going, everybody? My name is Jim, and welcome to FSD Driver. We have a very interesting video here today. So, I cannot get my FSD to work in construction areas. I just don't think it's ready. I don't think the car knows what to do. Kind of a negative video here. So, I'm in my favorite area where it is just being developed, and the car, for some reason, decided to just go like 10 to 12 miles per hour through this whole area, even though you're supposed to be going like 20 in this area. And there are going to be cars building up behind me. And again, this feels so extremely slow because you can actually go much quicker in this area. And so I do start to assist the car a little bit. And that's why you're seeing the speed go up to 18 because I can't have people behind me honking because this is the only way to go. Now, if you pay attention to these lights here, they always show up on the visualizations as green, even though they're wrapped and not hooked up. Those should be treated as a four-way stop because there is cross traffic that can build. The other thing that I noticed as well is I still don't have visualizations all the time on my screen of the traffic cones, and so that is a little bit concerning. Again, the car should have stopped here, but it goes through these lights as well, and it shows them as green on the visualization. And then we get to this really next intersection, which I bring up a really interesting point. You'll notice that the car here in white is already stopped, right? So it should be there right away. So my car does stop this time, and this lady actually waves us through, and then the car starts to go. So I'm not sure if the car actually recognized her as a wave through, but the car did stop, waited, and then it went, even though she technically had the right of way. She ended up turning right after I crossed the road, which was really cool. And then we come up to this blinking traffic light, and the car stops. But the problem here is now the car starts to do this thing where it slightly like moves forward and stops and then moves forward and stops. And then I have to assist it because there is a car behind me. And I put my hand up in the camera just to remember that this did happen. And it also happened in another area as well. When I hit the blinking red lights, the car just doesn't seem to know what to do. And it kind of just sits there forever. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up the footage. We typically go to a 4 times to 8 times the speed, and then I will slow it down for our next intervention. All right, guys. So no intervention here. I'm actually going to splice the film to a different section. So you're going to see a little jump here. And we will go into our next clip. So here we go. And now we are on our next clip. So now we're in a different part. And honestly, I don't even know where the car is bringing me right now. It's not supposed to bring me here. I typed in the Home Depot. It decided that it needed to take this road. And so it's going to go ahead and take this road. And now this is a very interesting one because there is construction here, and I have no idea because I haven't driven this road in a very, very long time. So I didn't actually know it was under construction. So let's just let the car do its own thing. It's supposed to take a U-turn, but because there is no U-turn, what it does is it pulls into this, I guess what you would call apartment complex, and it sees that there is a U-turn here. And so it goes into this little U-turn or this little cul-de-sac, and it performs the cul-de-sac fairly well. And then it pulls me out of the cul-de-sac. But now, I don't know if you noticed anything on my map here, but it just kind of like redirected itself to not take a left turn, but it ends up taking a right turn for some reason, and it's just kind of sitting here. And so this point, I'm very confused because I don't know what it's doing. And then it renavigates itself. And I know because I can see that this road is closed up ahead. So I have no idea what it's doing. But again, I don't interfere with the car whatsoever. So the car just kind of sits here and it comes to a stop, and then it just slowly inches itself forward and forward. And then what it does is it finds this gap in these cones, and it can, I think, see the path of the other cars, and it starts to take this path into this parking lot, which is very interesting. And then it decides to take a right turn in the parking lot. So again, I'm not intervening with this at all, but this is what road construction does to FSD. It pretty much breaks it down, and the car has no idea where to go or what to do. So now we're traveling along. The car will swerve a little bit to the right side because there should be a road here, but again, that is blocked by cones. So it just kind of sits here and it kind of just keeps inching forward like I don't know what to do, and then it just goes ahead and record or just keeps going forward. I also noticed that that motorcycle had a guy on top of it in the visualization, but there was actually nobody there. And then what it does is it brings me here to the end of the parking lot where there's no turnaround or anything. And I just let the car sit here for a little bit to see what it's going to do. And I just remembered that FSD doesn't have the ability to do any type of backing up or anything like that. So what I do is I eventually break it out of FSD right there, and then I start to manually turn the car around. Now, after I do this, what I do is I put the car basically back into FSD because it should be able to get me out of this parking lot, especially if we have full self driving vehicles. I mean, this is the perfect scenario. You live in an apartment, you don't have a car, or you don't want to pay for a parking spot. You know, the robo taxi pulls up to you and then it should drive away. Again, the car wants to turn left here, but it can't, so it just kinda, like, slows down, and it kinda sits here for a little bit, and I'm not touching anything, and then eventually what I have to do is intervene, and I need to step on the accelerator, or else we would just be sitting here forever. So the car is at a complete stop. Again, I break it out of FSD, or I assist it, I should say, by stepping on the throttle, and then the car starts to go forward again. Now, you'll notice that on my map here, like, it never changes, like, it knows the road is closed, but it doesn't reroute me anywhere, so I'm not sure if this is a navigation issue or if this is actually full self-driving. Nonetheless, they need to fix this issue with the car because, again, robotaxi, how is that supposed to enter the road, especially if there's no steering wheel? Are we just gonna have piles and piles of Teslas building up? Again, the car comes to this like slow creeping again because it wants to take a left-hand exit that is blocked, but we can't get out that direction. And then the car just slowly keeps creeping through this parking lot until it eventually sees an opening. Now, at this point in time, I have to break it out of FSD. The reason is because it wants to take a left turn, and I don't feel like getting stuck in the infinity circle all day because we just know that that road is closed and the only way through is through the parking lot again. And I don't want to repeat this over and over again. So I decide to break it out, manually take over the vehicle. Again, I try to put the car in FSD, but it wants to do this circle again, this cul-de-sac. I just decide to break it out of FSD, drive forward. It finally finds a new path. I put it in full self-driving, comes to a complete stop, takes its left-hand turn, and then we are off to the races. So again, I will slow or I will speed up the footage and then I will slow it down if we have another intervention. Now we're coming up on another intervention. We go through this green light and then we get stuck at the red light of death. It's the blinking red light. It should be a simple four-way stop, but the car does not know what to do, and I am definitely not intervening this time. I just want to see what the car is actually going to do. And so far, all you can see is it stops, creeps forward. So, right as soon as I stop here, it should be my turn to go. But the car instead just creeps forward and stops. That white Jeep goes through, it creeps forward and stop. And there's a guy now who's turning, and he actually gives me the middle finger because he's like, "What are you doing? It's your turn. It's been your turn. Okay, I'll just go." So the car, again, it's just creeping forward and it's stopping abruptly. And then now I have to step on the accelerator to make the car actually go forward. Now, the car isn't going its 12 miles an hour anymore because I stepped on the accelerator. So it tries to get up to speed, even though we're in a construction zone. It goes through this intersection, thinks the lights are green, but again, those lights are not even active or working. It should treat it as a four-way stop. It should also do a four-way stop here, but it decides not to. Lots of problems with full self-driving when it comes to construction zones. I think they really need to bring this back to the drawing board and say, "Hey, let's run it through a lot of these scenarios." And that's basically what I do. That's why I take this road so often, because I want to see how it's acting. I want to see if it's getting better over time, and it just hasn't gotten better in this area. Now, it does save us the red light here from just going straight. The car usually loves to go straight here. It does not have its blinker on. Again, needs to have its blinker on, but it does perform this turn perfectly. Now, what I've decided to do is I'm going to turn around and come back the other direction. So go through this intersection. So you'll see a cut here, and then we will be running in the opposite direction. So again, if you've watched any of my other videos here, this is a double left-hand turn lane, but they do have one of the lanes marked off with cones. Now, typically what my car will do here is it will cross over both of the lanes and it will be in the far left lane. It can't do that, however, because there's cones and cars in the road. So that is the actual first time it's stayed in the right lane and continued to stay in the right lane. But I can't really give that one to the car. I think I have to give that to the construction. Now, we're going again up this road. We will go through all of these lights. We will get stuck at the red light again. And then you'll notice something at the blinking red light that we actually get a warning on our car. And I don't know if it's a strike or if it's just about to lead to a strike, but it's like grab control of the vehicle immediately, even though we're at like a stop. So it again, it just goes to show that FSD really doesn't know what it's doing in these type of areas. And I can't I actually can fault Tesla on this because road construction is everywhere all the time forever. Those are like the key facts in life. Road construction will always happen. It will be in every state. It happens all over in different areas, and it will be a forever long thing. It's never going away. Road construction will be around. And if we can't get the robotaxis or these cars to, figure out what road construction is, I just don't see the system everlasting. So here we go. Again, it's a red light. We are blinking. This is a four-way stop. It should be my turn to go, but the car won't go. Again, this white car is like, "What are you doing?" I have to step on the accelerator, but it gives me the blinking red light like, "Dude, you're gonna crash. Grab control." So again, that's it for this video. There are no other interventions. Again, what I take away from here is FSD cannot beat road construction. Road construction wins every single time. If we were to release a robotaxi today, you will see piles of cars in like road construction areas just sitting there. I'm not really sure how they're going to get out of them. They would have to have some type of backup feature in FSD, which would allow them to maybe get out of the situation that they're in. But as I see it today, it just cannot do it. And I am that type of person who does not touch my car very often. I don't intervene. I really want to see what this vehicle is going to do on its own. So, anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.